Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshikarine Sarthayam Arjuna Sadho Kurman Gita Mitam Dado Lokatraya Upakaraya Tasmai Paramatmane Namah. Hare Krishna. How much Krishna is emphasizing on everyone to act according to his nature, according to his varna. The karma has to be according to varna. Very important. So much Krishna is emphasizing. So much so that he is saying, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna. What is better? That when you are situated in whatever varna, you must act, you must perform your prescribed duty, even if it is with some fault. And paradharma bhayavaha. And even if you perform someone else varna act or karma which is not for you, even if you do it with perfection, that will not give us the desired result. Very, very important. In the 18th chapter, Krishna is putting so much of stress, is emphasizing on it. So we have covered this 47th verse. Then we will discuss the 48th verse. And Krishna is also speaking this verse that Swabhav Niyatam Karma Purvan Naapnoti Kilbisham. A very big benediction Krishna is giving here. That doing your own duties according to your nature, you do not receive sin. It is better to do one's own duty, inferior though they may be. It may look like, even if it is done imperfectly, Ruguna, than doing another's duty per dharma, though it may be preferred because it can be executed easily through Anushrita. You should not give up your own work of fighting because of its fault of killing friends and instead perform another's dharma in the form of wandering around begging. So Krishna has made Arjuna the case study, and through him, Krishna is giving this verdict to all of us. We see in this age so much of illusion are the people. They want to give up the job. They don't have job satisfaction. They don't find people cooperative. All such faults. They want to give up that duty. Krishna is condemning it. Krishna is not approving. So we'll see the 48th verse. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham api natyajet sarvarambhi doshena agni rivaratha. So Krishna is concluding now. So he said, Sahajam karma kaunteya. Saha means simultaneously, and jab means to take birth. Yehi samsparsh jab hoga, padma ja, jal ja. Ja means to take birth. So sahajam. So according to nature, one must perform karma. Sahajam karma kaunteya. O Arjuna, you should perform your action according to your nature. Sadosham api natajet. Even if there is some fault, even if there is some deficiency or difficulty, what you should not do? Natyajet. You should not give it up. Sarvaram hi doshena dhumena agni ivarata. Why? Because sarvarambha. That every endeavor, there is doshena. There is some fault. Every endeavor is covered by some fault. This is the transition. And Krishna gives the analogy. Dhumen agnir ivarata. Like the smoke is covering the fire. Just as the fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature. It's very important. Again and again, Krishna is emphasizing, one should not give up the work born of his nature. O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of faults. Verse said, Sadosham. Prabhupada is saying full of faults. Even if it is filled with faults. The purport said, in conditioned life, all work is contaminated by the material modes of nature, even if it is goodness. Even if a Brahmana, he has to perform sacrifice in which animal killing is necessary. Similarly, a Kshatriya, however pious he may be, he has to fight enemies. Similarly, okay, he cannot avoid it. Similarly, a merchant, however pious he may be, he must sometimes hide his profit to stay in business. Prabhupada is so practical. Prabhupada knew the pulse of business. Or he must sometimes have to do business on the black market. These things are necessary, one cannot avoid them. Similarly, even though a man is a Shudra, serving a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. So many times we see, we feel that the boss is not competent, the owner is not competent, or he does not understand me. Why should I work with him? Why should I waste my life and energy and time with him? The Prabhupada is saying that even if he is a bad master, he has to carry out the order of the master, even though it should not be done. Despite these flaws, one should continue to carry out his prescribed duties, for they are born out of his own nature. So karma has to be according to one's swabhava, one's varna. A very nice example is given herein. Although fire is pure, still there is smoke. Yet smoke does not make the fire impure. Even though there is smoke in the fire, fire is still considered to be the purest of all elements. If one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of Brahmana, this is what Arjuna was thinking. He is not assured that in the occupation of the Brahmana, there will be no unpleasant duties. And I remember one instance. Once Mohan Prabhu was telling me long back that there was one family in Panchil who was the neighbor of our temple in Panchil. And there was such, intolerant and atheistic kind of people that they could not tolerate the kirtan being performed in the temple. They would always come and complain. Even so much so that they went even to the court. They had litigation for many, many years. But suddenly what happened? One day they decided to sell off their property, their house in Panchil, and go and settle in some other part of Delhi. Actually, they went out of Delhi. They went and took a house in Noida. And after they took the house in Noida, within few months, the Noida center opened up just, near to their house. What they were facing in Panchil, they had the same situation in Noida. You cannot run away from your karma. Krishna was giving them ample opportunity to get the association of devotee. They are trying to run away. But still again and again Krishna was creating such favorable situation. So one thing is very important. If a person is mature, if he has some intelligence, he should know what he is destined by his providence. And he must accept and not waste his time trying to resist and fight. Can anyone fight the might of material nature? Is it possible? No. One should know. That is why superior guidance is required. The people keep struggling. I have seen so many students. They are preparing for IAS exam. How many years? Last 10 years. Just waste their life, and their life is filled with frustration. You cannot go against your nature. Intelligence is to harmonize with your nature and perform the activity even in Krishna consciousness, which is according to your nature. And Krishna is so much emphasizing here, is recommending here. He's saying that one is acting according to his nature, he will never ever incur sin, even in normal course of life. Prabhupada is saying that if one prefers to give up the work of a Kshatriya and take up the occupation of Brahmana, he is not assured that in the occupation of Brahmana, there will be no unpleasant duties. One may then conclude that in the material world, no one can be completely free from the contamination of material nature. This example of fire and smoke is very appropriate in this connection. When in winter time, one takes a stone from the fire, sometimes smoke disturbs the eyes and other parts of the body. But still, one must make use of the fire despite disturbing conditions. Similarly, one should not give up this natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. So wherever you will go, you will find one or two with you. That is the law of nature. They have been kept. Why they have been kept? Can anyone answer? Anywhere and everywhere you go, you will find one or two disturbing elements who will really be testing you all the time and who will create such a situation where your happiness or your flow is disturbed again and again. Have you experienced or not? No one experienced? It will be there everywhere. It will be there in the house, it will be there in the office, anywhere you go. One or two such elements will be there who will create disturbance. Prabhupada is speaking here, Krishna is speaking. So because of that, one should not give up one's prescribed duty. Actually, they are there to purify us. They are purifying agent. Krishna's agent. We should change our vision. We should stop complaining and cursing them. That why they have come in our life, why they have created so much disturbance in my life or in my office workplace. So here Prabhupada is saying, one should not give up his natural occupation because there are some disturbing elements. Rather, one should be determined to serve the Supreme Lord by his occupational duty in Krishna consciousness. That is the perfectional point. When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, all the defects in that particular occupations are purified. Very important. Very, very important. What is the perfectional point? When a particular type of occupation is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, the action itself is imbued with the desire to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So how pure it is, there is no question of any contamination. When the result of work are purified, when connected with devotional service, one becomes perfect in seeing the self within, and that is self-realization. Very, very important section. Krishna is so much emphasizing on performing one's occupational duty, one's prescribed duties, even if it is difficult, even if it is filled with defects, but one should never give up and not try to take someone else's duty which is not according to his nature. Any question or clarification so far? You understood what Krishna is speaking? Don't try to run away from your occupation, from your profession. And don't think that if you change, the grass will be greener on the other side. It will not be. It will be the same. Okay, I proceed to verse number 49. Then how it is to be performed, how occupation duty is to be performed, it is to be not given up. The last two verses, Krishna is so much emphasizing. Even if there is some defect, even if there is difficulty, it should never be given up. So how it is to be performed, that perfection Krishna is speaking in the 49th verse. Asakt buddhi sarvatra jitatma vigat spriha neshkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena adhigacchati. So Krishna is talking about sannyas. And sannyas here means the perfection. So how one has to work? With asakt buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. And asakt means that is without attachment. So the intelligence should be without attachment. And jitatma vigat spriha. Jitatma means one who has control over the mind. Normally people relate themselves with the body and the mind. Many times Atma is used as body also, many times Atma is used as mind also, because normally people have this realization only, that they are this body or they are the mind. Say the Jitatma and his Vigat Spriha. Spriha means desires. And Vigat Spriha means one who is free from material desires. And what he performs? Nash Karmya Siddhi. Nash Karmya means action which does not bring any reaction. And amongst all the action which does not bring reaction, Siddhim, that brings perfection. What to speak of that? What is that? Paramam Sannyasena Adhigacchati. Look at the translation. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyment, Vigat Spriha, can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfection stage of freedom from reactions. That should be the aspiration, to receive the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction. Real renunciation means that one should always think himself part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. This is what Srila Prabhupada is recommending. That this is real sannyas. What is real sannyas? That you are completely attached to Krishna and you are detached from everything else. One should always be thinking himself as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore think that he has no right to enjoy the result of this world. Very beautiful. One should think that he is the part and the parcel. And because he is the part and parcel, then he is not the whole. The whole is the Supreme. So what is his function? His function is to serve the Supreme. Then he comes to the realization that he has no right to enjoy the results of his work. Since he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the result of his work must be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord. This is actually Krishna consciousness. This is what it means to come in Parampara. The person acting in Krishna consciousness is really a sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. By such a mentality, one is satisfied because he is actually acting for the Supreme. Thus, he is not attached to anything material. He becomes accustomed to not taking pleasure in anything beyond the transcendental happiness derived from the service of the Lord. So what it means that he is fixed. His intelligence is fixed. Asakta buddhi sarvatra, fixed in service of the Supreme Lord and his pure representative. A sannyasi is supposed to be free from the reaction of his past activities, but the person within Krishna consciousness automatically attains this perfection without even accepting the so-called order of renunciation or sannyas. The state of mind is called yoga. What are the two terms? Anyone? This is yoga rudha. Yoga rudha means which is the maturity, this is the perfection. What is the other one? You have discussed that. Yes, Ramya. Very good. Brilliant answer. None of them have any clue. This is what hearing is. Anyone can even tell where Krishna spoke about these two terms? Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Rudha. Bolo? Even that is difficult to find out. Even if you search the book, you won't be able to find out. Where did Krishna spoke about Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Rudha? So both of you know, apart from you, I'm asking all others. Bolo bhai, scholars, PhD. You have to answer. I will not proceed. Where did Krishna speak about Yoga Rurukshu and Yoga Rudha? My voice is reaching you. Yes, no. I don't see any response. What is Yoga Rurukshu? Okay, yes. After a long time, Manoram Jagannath Prabhu has shown some courage. Boliye. Go ahead. Yes, Manoram Prabhu. Boliye.
Prabhuji, chapter name I just remember, Prabhuji, but details I have to recall it. It was in 6th chapter, but in detail, because you have to little bit recall it, Prabhuji.
Okay, what do you remember of what is Yoga Rurukshu? Yes, Sonika.
Prabhuji, I exactly don't remember, but it was like अगर कोई ध्यान करने का प्रयास करते हैं, sorry, प्रभुजी exactly I'm not remembering, but कोई अगर ध्यान अपने मन को कंट्रोल करके अपने बॉडी को कंट्रोल करके ध्यान करने का कोशिश करते हैं तो
that is which state?
Sorry, प्रभुजी?
Sorry? That is Yoga Rurukshu means one who is a practitioner.
Yes, Prabhuji. And who has already achieved that state, that is yoga.
That one who has achieved perfection is Yoga Rudha. Rudha means one who has attained perfection. That is what Krishna is saying, you know. Jitatma vigats priha. So he's attained perfection. He has been able to conquer and control over his mind. But Yoga Rurukshu is one who is practicing. So we are at which stage? Neither. Yoga Rurukshu is also still very high stage. Okay. So this state of mind is called Yoga Rudha, or the perfection stage of yoga. As confirmed in the 3rd chapter, very beautiful verse. Yastu Atmarati Rev Syat Atmatushta samanava Atmani eva cha santushta tasya karanam naka. For him there is no God. Yastu Atma Ratir Evsa. One whose aim is inward and one who rejoices inward. It's Atma Ratir. Ratir means to rejoice. And where he is rejoicing? In Atma, in the self. So how it is to be done? Yeah, Krishna is saying, Asakt Buddhi Sarvatraha. That Krishna is giving the progression here from someone who is at the Neshkam Karma level. Krishna uses the word Neshkarmya Siddhi. What is the perfection of performing action without reaction? Is one is engaged in devotional service. Perfection of Nishkam Karma Yoga is to be engaged in loving devotional service. So from Jnana Yoga section, which is of Nishkam Karma, Krishna is uplifting one to come to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. Where Krishna will confirm, he will prove that how Bhakti is superior, or Bhakti is the culmination of Jnana. One who is satisfied in himself has no fear of any kind of reaction from his activity. Siddhim prapto yata brahma tathapnoti nibodha me samsaineva kaunteya nishtha jnanasya para. So Krishna is talking about that platform. Which platform? The eternal platform. Brahma. Siddhim praptim yatha Brahma. The Brahman platform. Krishna is elevating from the Jnana Yoga section of working without reaction. What is it called? Sacrifice. So coming to the platform of Brahman platform and gradually to pure bhakti. O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage Brahman. This stage of highest knowledge by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Got it? What Krishna is now elevating from Nashkan Karma Yoga to bringing him to Bhakti Yoga. Bringing him the perfection of Nishkam Karma Yoga. The Lord describes for Arjuna how one can achieve the highest perfection say simply by being engaged in performing that duty for the Supreme Personality of God. This is very important. We do not perform our duty for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of God. So what one has to give up? One has to give up not only the fruitive mentality to come to Nashkarmya, but he also has to give up his doership mentality. One attains the supreme stage of Brahman simply by renouncing the result of his work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That is the process of self-realization. The actual perfection of knowledge is in attaining pure Krishna consciousness, and that is described in the following verses. So we'll take these 3 verses, couplet. Buddhya Vishuddhya Yukto Dhrityatmanam Niyamya Cha Shabdadin Vishayam Statva Ragadvesho Yudusya Cha Vivikta Sevi Laghasvasi Yata Vakakaya Manasa Dhana Yoga Paro Nityam Vairagyam Samokshita Ahankaram Balam Darpam Kamam Prodam Parigraham Vimuch Nishcha nirmamo shanta brahma bhuya kalpate. So Krishna is giving many technical terms here. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukta. So first item he is talking about buddhi. Previous verse also you see, the 49th verse Krishna was talking about buddhi. And in the second chapter, profusely Krishna has spoken about buddhi yoga. Very profusely. From verse number 39. Buddhya yukto yaya partha nevakan bandhar prahasyasi. From 39 verse till particularly the entire section, Krishna talking about buddhi yoga. So Krishna is saying there's one whose intelligence is vishuddhaya. Buddhya vishuddhaya, and it is yukto. So how buddhi can be vishuddha, can be purified when it is properly engaged. It is engaged in the service of the Lord. And dhritya. Dhritya means determination. Dhriti. We saw the dhriti in 3 modes. Dhriti atmanam niyam nyaya. And how one can come to that state of being fully regulated. Atmanam is the self and niyamya means by the regulation. Being purified, let us see the translation. Being purified by the intelligence and controlling the mind with determination. Then Shabdadin Vishayans Tattva. Shabda. Shabda is the Vishaya for? Shabda is the Vishaya for which sense?
Yeah.
Ear. Yes. So ear. So like Krishna is saying here, Shabdadin Vishayams Tyaktva. Giving up. Giving up the object of sense gratification. Then it is easy. More subtle is the Raga Dvesha. So Shabdadin Vishayam Tattva is on the which platform? It is on the sensory platform. But giving up Raga and Dvesha, which platform is Raga and Dvesha? It is level of ego, attachment and aversion. Very difficult to give up our attachment and aversion. So Raga Dvesha Vidasya. Vidasya means keeping it aside, rejecting it, not being influenced by Raga and Dvesha. Vivek Sevi Laghavasi. One who lives in a secluded place. Anyone remembers? Krishna has spoken about this term before also. Vivek Sevi. Where Krishna spoke about Vivek Sevi? Very good, Ramya. Your memory is really sharp. I am very pleased and very convinced. This is how Bhagavad Gita is to be heard. Arjuna heard once and it went into his heart, never to be forgotten. And we, coming in the lineage of Dhritarashtra, nothing enters, just nothing enters the heart. It never enters even the head, what to speak of heart. Yes, go on, others are still, they are gasping. They don't know what to speak. Boliye. Bolo, jaldi bolo. I want to cover this.
Krishna Prabhuji told in 6th chapter.
Huh?
6th chapter, Prabhuji. 6th.
No. Vivikta Desa Sevatvam. This is out of the 20 items of knowledge that Krishna spoke in the 13th chapter. That one should live in a secluded place. What it means to live in a secluded? That means he gives up all kind of material association. Okay. So here, one who lives in a secluded place. One example of it is Srila Loknath, uh, Srila Loknath Goswami. Even if he was in Vrindavan, he was in his Nikunja, very secluded place. He did not interact with any people, very less. Sometimes Srila Jiva Goswami would come and have association with him, and later Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He was completely absorbed in his bhajan. He did not allow anyone from outside to come and disturb him in his bhajan. Vivek Des Sevan. Very high stage, Paramhamsa stage. The one who lives in a secluded place, then very much it is. Laghavasi. Laghavasi. What is the word meaning of Laghavasi? Eating in small quantity. Two things we can regulate. First thing what we can regulate is eating, and second thing that we can regulate is sleeping. Yogi, he cannot be a bhogi. Bhogi can never become a yogi. So here Krishna is saying that one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, and yata vak kaya manasa, and he controls his body, mind, and power of speech. Vak means speech, kaya means body, and manasa means the mind. How? Dhyana yoga paronityam, who is always in trance and who is detached. Vairagyam samupashrita. Samupashrita. Ashrita. That means his ashray is not Vishaya. His ashray is Vairagyam. Very beautiful. For everyone else, the ashray is Vishaya, the sense objects. But for such a renounced person who is in knowledge, his ashray is Vairagyam, detachment. Prabhupada is saying, and who is detached, how anahankara bala darpam, is free from false ego, false strength, and darpam. Today we were discussing the 16th chapter. Krishna says that dambho darpam abhimanasya. Out of the demonic qualities, the three foremost qualities is dambha, darpa, and abhimana. So he's completely free. We were discussing amongst the devotees that no one of us can claim that we are completely free from dambha, darpa, and abhimana. Subtle difference between them. Anyone remembers? We have covered the 16th chapter. Let us revise. What is dambha? What is darpa? And what is abhimana? What is the difference between the three? Bolo Pradeep. What is dambha? What is darpa? And what is abhimana? Bolo, at least speak one or two. You have to revise. Just passive hearing is not sufficient. Prabhupada is heavily speaking. You have to make an effort. Swacheshtita. If cheshta is not there, this topmost transcendental knowledge will not enter. It will remain in the book. Who can give examples or who can explain the difference? Here Krishna is saying that is ahankara balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham. Don't want to speak? Then you remain without knowing it. Who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things. Parigraham. Parigraha. Parigraha is to accept. So he is free from all this. Vimuchya nirmama shanto. Free from false proprietorship, and shanto means peaceful. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. If anyone is really sincere for self-realization, these are the qualities, or this is the standard that Krishna has prescribed. If one wants to really have self-realization, one has to come to the standard. Buddhya vishuddhya yukto Yutya atmanam niyamyacha. Niyamyacha is being regulated. Shabdadin vishayan sattva ragatvesho vyajosya. Okay. Let us see this purport. Prabhupada has not given a big purport for this 3 verses. When one is purified by intelligence, he keeps himself in the mode of goodness. Thus one becomes the controller of the mind and is always in trance. So mind control is only possible when one is in mode of goodness. He is not attached to the object of sense gratification. Passion one is controlled by the mind. There is no possibility of controlling the mind. And he is free from attachment and hatred in his activities. Such a detached person naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. Prabhupada is giving a comment that if one is really detached, he would live in a secluded place. He does not eat more than what he requires, and he controls the activities of his body and mind. He has no false ego because he does not accept the body as himself. Nor has he a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things. Because he has no bodily conception of life, he is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of the Lord. He is never angry in the absence of self-gratification. All this description reminds me of a great personality. We have heard of him very, very often. We keep discussing about him. Which character, which personality from Chaitanya Lila? Give me a big hint. Thus, he is completely free from false ego. He becomes non-attached to all material things. And that is the stage of self-realization of Brahma. That stage is called the Brahma Bhuta. From Jiva Bhuta to Brahma Bhuta. When one is free from the material conception of life, he becomes peaceful and cannot be agitated. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 2:17. Okay. Who is the personality? All the description completely personifies this personality. Bolo. Why only Dayashil and Ramya has to answer, all others? They are still awaiting the let others answer. Yes, Manoram Prabhu.
Prabhuji, from the discussions, I think if I can recall, he was Srivas Thakur, Prabhuji, Srivas Thakur. This pride and false pride, he was not having, Prabhuji.
That personality is not in Chaitanya Lila with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he came before Mahaprabhu and he is the root from where the trunk of Chaitanya tree has emanated. I have given you everything now. Sonika has got it. Yes, Pranav? It will become easy.
I think Gadadhar Pandit Prabhuji.
What are you hearing? It's Sonika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Srivas Thakur, Sri Haridas Thakur Prabhuji.
So they are also on that platform, no doubt. But one personality whose life is completely, encompassed around all these attributes. I'm giving the last chance. Yes, there shall be. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Sripad Madhavendra Puri ji.
Sripad Madhavendra Puri, completely personifying. Sripad Madhavendra Puri. So many times we should be able to see the personality with the perspective of the Shastra. See, every quality is attributing to him. Buddhya Vishuddhya Yutya Nityamana Niyamya Cha. His intelligence was completely purified. Why? He was always engaged in service. Nityamana Niyamya Cha. How strict he was in his service that every day there was Ankut Chappan Bhog being offered to Gopal. But what he would take? He would take only at the last, when he had given the Supreme Lord the Shayan. Then he would take little and rest for a while. Shabdadin Vishayam Tattva. He did not allow any sense gratification or object to come near him. Raga Desha Vedesha. He had no raga and desha with anyone. Vivek the Savior, he was always secluded. Although he was in the midst, still he was secluded. And Laghavasi, hardly he ate. He would drink milk in the night. And Yata Vak Kaya Manasa, complete control over his speech, his body, his mind. And he was always contemplating what was the Dhyana Yoga, how he can improve the service of Gopal, how he can serve Gopal better. Okay. So Prabhupada is quoting the second chapter, 70th verse. One who is completely full in himself. Apuryama Anam Machala Pratishtham Samudramapa Pravishanti Yadvat Tadvat Kama Yam Pravishanti Sarve Timapnoti Nakarma Kami. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires. See, desires will be there. Don't think that till the time we are in this material world, we will only have spiritual desire. That is very, very high elevated platform. That only can be emanating at the level of Madhavendra or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate. But a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desire, this is very important. So what we have to learn not to be provoked, not to be agitated, to remain determined to do what our duty is. That enters like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace. Tava kama ya pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kama kama. And not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So we'll come to the very classic verse tomorrow. We'll discuss that verse tomorrow. We are now coming to the final section. The very final section. The most condensed of all verses which Krishna will speak. Okay, I'll stop here. Any question, clarification, discussion? We have few minutes. So now Krishna is elevating from Nishkam Karma Yoga to come to Brahma Bhuta stage, pure Bhakti Yoga. How? By giving up the doership. Of course, there is no attachment to fruit. Yes, Manoram Prabhu, your hand was up first and then followed by Sonika. Boliye.
Prabhuji, it is relating to purport 18.50 and then 51 to 53, Prabhuji. In purport, Srila Prabhupada is telling that the Lord describes for Arjuna how one can achieve the highest perfectional stage simply by being engaged in his occupational duty. And in 51 to 53, Prabhuji, then occupational duty while performing, then how one can practice this sitting in a secluded places, is how to
Yes.
connect.
What you are thinking, secluded in a universe, secluded place, that means he is in the cave of Himalaya, when no one can see him and he can see no one. No. That means it does not allow his intelligence to associate with anyone who is not worth association. He is not influenced, or he is not, yes, he is not influenced by anyone who is not in his path of self-realization. Krishna has spoken about that art already in the 5th chapter. How to live in this world without being affected with it. You remember the verse? Like a lotus leaf. The lotus leaf is always in water, but it is unaffected by water. Water cannot make an impact on it. Patra padmam evam bhasa. So that means what? That the mind is an intelligence in fixed in the service of the Supreme. Okay. So then he is not influenced. And at our level, we are not that. So what we should do? We should have minimum interaction. Don't try to socialize or show off. Don't try to make so many friends. What is the need of material friends? What they will do? They will not allow you to do sadhana. I have seen, you have also seen in your life, those who have tried to have non-devotee materialistic association, they have not been able to sustain in sadhana. And is it possible or not possible? You speak from your experience.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is possible, Prabhuji.
What is required? Buddhya vishuddhya yukto. Intelligence has to be purified. Intelligence has to be fixed from where to receive the message and what to do. And it should be able to discriminate from where it has to eliminate. Simple. Krishna is speaking. This is what, that is why Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Because Arjuna was the most focused person. He never lost focus. So don't allow the distractors to come in life and dilute your focus. Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you asked the question about the difference between Dambh, Darp and Abhiman. Prabhuji, please
very good.
clarify.
Yeah. You want to try and speak? Please speak. Prabhupada has given that in the purport itself. If you see the purport to 16.4, Prabhupada is speaking in itself. Prabhupada is quoted from the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Today I was discussing that with devotees. You see 16.4? Manoram Prabhu just shared the verse 16.4. Damba Darpa Abhimanasya. Yeah. Can you all see? Come down. So these are the demoniac qualities. So first is Dambha. The Prabhupada says The demoniac wants to make a show of religion and advancement in spiritual science, although they do not follow the principles. This is Dambha. Dambha means to show what one is not. In our practice, we have to be very, very careful not to have Dambha of showing what we do not practice. And the classic example of Dambha is Ravana. When he came to kidnap Mother Sita, what was he posing himself as?
A
A
Brahman.
Brahmana and a bhikshuk, but he was not there. And in particular, make a show of religions and advancement in spiritual science, although one is not following the principles. This is Dambha. Second is Darpa. Darpa means some time of education or too much wealth. Too much boasting of oneself or thinking oneself. And the third is Abhiman. Abhiman means that they demand respectability and they have a desire to be worshipped by others, although they do not command respect. Okay, let's close it. Manish Prabhu. Balaram, close this screen share.
Prabhuji, during Darp, your
Can you
voice
hear me?
was not. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I think Balaram Prabhu's. Yes, Hare Krishna. But I'll share something with you which really amazed me today while studying the 16th chapter. You see how much Krishna, what he has spoken, he completes in Bhagavad Gita itself. Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So the dushkrita, what vinash he does to them is the 16th chapter. Particularly from verse number 19. Krishna says, Asiri yoni mapannam mudha janmani janmani. That I will perpetually cast them in the abominable species of life. So I was thinking, Krishna is saying, and this is what Vinashi does. He does not spare the Dushkrita, particularly the Dushkrita who does harm to devotees. So many, this is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. Every time we discuss, we get a newer understanding, a deeper understanding. And today also, this clarity came very clearly. What is the difference between Dambha, Darpa and Abhimana? And see how Prabhupada has expertly written. I was so much appreciating Srila Prabhupada's purport. That even from the Acharyas, whatever little difference they have given, Prabhupada has incorporated that in this purport. But we are not able to touch it. We are not able to dive into it and realize and relish it. Hear with attention, hear with heart. If it is not coming, then make notes. And after the class is over, try to write, try to regain, at least try to regain the essential message. So the essential message, what we are discussing since yesterday, how much Krishna is appreciating one who performs his duty according to. That is why this is Krishna's desire to have Varnashram system. And modern man is so foolish. He wants to have a classless society, like he wants to have a partless body. There's the difference between hand and leg, both should be same. There's the difference between head and stomach, both should be same. Can it be same? Can the function be same? Can it function? No comprehension to what Krishna is speaking. He has made a perfect arrangement for everyone to come to the platform of perfection, provided we accept and we follow. Okay, I'll stop here. 15th chapter, Who will volunteer today? Who will recite the 15th chapter? I give one more freedom. You can recite after seeing the book. If you don't remember, but try before the end of this month of Purushottam. You are able to memorize. So who will volunteer? Quickly. अब क्या है? तो देख के बोलना है. अब क्या समस्या है? Yes. बोलिए. रविंदर मधुसूदन प्रभु एंड प्रियंका अनुराधा माता जी.
श्री भगवान उवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधःशाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधश्चोधं प्रसतास्तस्य शाखा गुणा प्रवृद्धा विषया प्रबाला कर्मानुबन्धे मनुष्यलोके नारूपम् आश्रयः तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा तथा पदं तत्परिपाल्यतव्यम् यस्मिन् गतानां भूयात् तमेव चाहं प्रपद्ये यत् प्रवृत्ति प्रशता पुराणी निर्माणमोहातीतसंगदोषः आध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वे विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंगे गच्छन्तमूढा पदमव्ययं तत् न तद्भसते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावको यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं ममेवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूता सनातनं मनसष्ठानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यद् अवाप्नोति यच्चापि उत्क्रमस्तीश्वरः धृते वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धवान् इव शयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं ग्राह्यम् एव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चाय विषयान् उपसेवते उत्क्रमणतं स्थितं दापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषा यतन्तो योगिनाश्चैनं पश्यन्ति आत्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तोऽपि अप्रात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्ति अचेतसा यद् अविद्यं गतं तेजो जगद्भाषयते अखिलं यच्चन्द्रांसे यच्चाग्नौ यत्तेजो विधिमामकम् गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयामि अहमोजसा उष्णामि चौषधी सर्वा समो भूत्वा रसात्मकः अहं कृष्णमयो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहम् आश्रिता प्राणापानं समायुक्तं भजामि अन्नं चतुर्विधम् सर्वस्य चाहं मृदशं मत्ता स्मृतिज्ञानपोहनं च वेदेषु सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यं वेदान्तकृतवेदविदेव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च क्षर सर्वाणि भूतानि कुतस्थो अक्षर उच्यते उत्तमा पुरुषज्ञानं परमात्मेति उदारता यो लोकत्रयम् आविश्य बिभर्ति अव्यय ईश्वरः यस्मात् अक्षरम् अतीतो अहम् अक्षराद् अपचोत्तमा अतो अस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रतीता पुरुषोत्तमा यो माम् एवं सम्बुद्धो जानति पुरुषोत्तमा स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदम् उक्तं मया नघा एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् कृतकृतश्च भारत.
Very good. Daya, continue.
Let's end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person.
But we did not discuss the purport. We only read the verses. Thank you. Please put your heart. Only few days are left for Purushottam Mass to be over. Then we will get the opportunity only after 30 months. It does not come every year like Kartik. It's very important. So do some offering. Do some heartfelt offering to the Lord. Very simple. Is to at least memorize this verse and offer these verses to the Supreme Lord. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.